President Bolsonaro was denied his passport to go to participate in Trump's inauguration. We wish you all the best. President Trump, you're really bringing a white tint back to government, to institutions that have lost their credibility, and to everyone in the US. I believe there's a time for a new American Revolution, but in the sense of bringing those values that have been inscribed in the US Constitution, in the Declaration of Independence, those rights that people have fought, died for. But at the same time, we need to sit down with everyone, especially our enemies, because we tend not to have peace negotiation with friends. With allies, we do have other kind of negotiations. But I bring attention to the values in that declaration, because a strong America or real democracy, it's really not just good for a country, it's good for the world. And when I mean America, I don't just say of the country, the United States of America, but those ideals were important. And in 1776, in those hallowed grounds in Boston, Quincy Market, in Pennsylvania, in Liberty Hall, in so many places, that all those men, flawed men, but real good men, they put their lives on the rest. They put their lives on the line when they signed that document. They were killed. Right now, in 2025, today is Saturday. It's January 18th. The inauguration is Monday. We don't have to fight. But at the same time, Brazil is going through some difficult times, and there is censorship, and hopefully we can work together. When I say together, it's really together with the president right now, President Lula, Justice Alexandre de Moraes. It's time for peace. And when I say peace, I really meant it. Peace. It's time for the rule of law. Not whatever you think is the law, but whatever it is written in the Constitution. Our system of government in Brazil has been replicated from the US. And that's really the point. A new American Revolution has started. And with that, I bring you 3 important points. Because of technology, we can have a voice. Maybe some people will, in fact, hear this video. And because of that, we need to bring some stuff back. And the idea that I would like to bring you is, first, the idea of Israel, the promise given to Jacob, not only to the Jews, but to the entire humanity. Second, the idea of America. And again, I'm not only talking about the country of Israel or the country that is the United States, but the idea behind those democracies. The idea behind Israel, the promise given to Jacob of a land of prosperity, and the idea of freedom, that individuals would have freedom. And even though you have a separation and you don't force your religion into other people, and that would be the separation of church and state, but at the same time, we should bring back the ideals that have brought us this far, those Judeo-Christian values and principles. They have to be in the forefront, continually not forcing upon people our beliefs or our religion, protection of the minorities, but to the extent that we can grow and we can have the same values. And then is a third, this triad that it's my mind, it's Brazil. that is a very Christian country. We do have this separation, but at the same time, we do preserve a lot of Christian's value. We are a very fun country, but at the same time, we're a very conservative country, for example, with regards to abortion and a lot of other things. But we are tolerant, and that is the key. As a Christian, we should not judge or pass judgment or give the sentence, but at the same time, we don't need to bring that into our houses, to our homes. And we do hope we stop fighting in Brazil, in the US, all over the world. So right now, a new American revolution starts. And hopefully nothing related to Civil War, the movie, or what happened during Lincoln's administration, but rather peace. And we shall fight ideas, and we must preserve freedom of expression. And this white tent that Trump brought, I hope is expanded around the world, especially here in Brazil. And to Brazilians, we must work together. And when I say together, it's yes, with the current president. I don't agree. I've never voted for him, but he's the current president. The economy needs to be improved. We need to stop accusing people of crimes that don't exist. But at the same time, we need to stop so much fighting, so much criticism, and we need to sit down at the table. Congress and the Senate should do their job, and the Supreme Court needs to go back to their job. Justice Alexander de Moraes, and I saw a thesis of someone saying that we should not impeach him so that we don't have, we don't breach institutions, or we don't have endless conflict, because clearly there's no votes for that. Maybe there is in the Senate because there's a process of impeachment, but we should follow the law. What I'm saying here, it shouldn't be controversial, but as President Bolsonaro is being denied even the freedom to travel, that in the same time, very similar situation was given to President Lula while he was out of office, almost getting arrested, and had been already condemned either twice or once. So there was a sentence. President Bolsonaro doesn't have a sentence. Yes, he may flee, but at the same time, he came back from 2 trips, so there's no real threat. He is clearly the front runner for the presidency in Brazil in 2026, in 2 years. He currently cannot run because of the same thing that happened to Trump, like lawfare, and I should have fear to say this, but it is the truth. And at the same time, I do say that we need to work with the current government, and that's not out of fear. That's a practicality, and because no one really wins if we keep fighting. Because the people that are fighting, the Congress people, politicians, they don't take upon them all the cost. It's like war. Yes, some of the soldiers died, but there's a lot of, the people on the front line and the people that make the decisions, they don't bear the costs of war. And there's a parallel here. I went to the supermarket just before coming to the office, and it's late. It's Saturday evening, I'm working. But when you see people's face when they go through the checkout, people are hurt. They're, things are costing a lot. It's the same thing in the US. been there last year. So yeah, we could be fighting. We could say we believe in this. The PT believes in something else. Bolsonaro should be a president. Someone else should be president. Whoever you want to vote for. But that doesn't really bring the solution for the kitchen table. And the same reason why Trump was elected. So a call upon you, and yeah, you around the world, in Brazil, wherever you are, that we need to start putting down our swords, even in figurative speech, our fighting and bullying and criticizing, and finding common grounds in whatever things we can. Trump won on a landslide. Very likely, people need and right and left. There were things that went too far. He brought to his administration a white tent, perhaps another reference to Lincoln, to the team of rivals that Lincoln had in his cabinet. I really pray, and I will be doing whatever I can to educate people to the beauty of the U.S. as an idea, of an institution, of a model of governance, things we need to improve, and it is time. I call upon you to change. And change is an idea that is an acronym, and we'll explain in the next videos, but essentially, we need to start taking responsibility to our own lives. So if you want to change the world, that's very easy. Just change your world. Forget about the world, about your city. Just change your life. Make it better. And if you're successful, you're gonna change the people around you, your family, but also your friends, your neighbors. And if we all do that, very soon, and when I say soon, maybe in a year, the whole world can be a better place. We do have 3 times more food we produce as a world. We could end hunger like this. We just need to find ways of distributing this, making sure that the incentives are there. At some point in the war against Russia and Ukraine, the U.S. accidentally gave 5 or 6 billion more. Like, whoops. I just saw this on Joe Rogan. And when the fires in Maui, people lost everything, and the costs to rebuild everything would be about 5 billion. Why do we do this? Yesterday there was this accident, helicopter accident here in São Paulo. A friend told me, the pilot, he's a pilot as well. And you see the impact of 2 lives lost, and maybe there was nothing to be done. He was a good pilot, very well trained, but the couple died. His young daughter, their daughter, they have twins, 9-year-old, 2 boys, and a 12-year-old girl. And it was her birthday. She has survived, but she lost her parents. So 3 orphans. But we do have a lot of orphans now in Ukraine, maybe in Russia too. So those tragedies could be avoided. So let's have a real conversation about how we can change our lives and in due time affect the greater, the country, the states we are, the cities we are. And after this, let's really have a real deep conversation about a new model of government. And in my view, it's something that is putting together what the U.S. model of governance is, the promise that Israel is, and what we have here in Brazil. This kind of a mix of those two, because we are very conservative, we're very religious oriented, we're very Christians, more than, I guess, by data 70 to 80%, but we're still more easygoing. There's something there. Clearly, democracy is not the best form of government, but is the best so far. But perhaps it's time for us as a world, as a nation, or as nations, to improve. We have technology, and freedom of speech is the most important value, and we must keep it. I hope Lula, our current president, is able to work with his people. I want to work with whoever is in office. I have my preference, I have my beliefs, and everyone in Brazil, of every single side, in business, in politics, in religious matter, we need to work together to rebuild this nation. And we should already stop talking about impeachment, because otherwise it's going to be another 2 years just fighting. And I'm not saying we don't have the right, and there's no reason, but we need to think of the people, because in the end of the day, it's like war might even be justified, but there's a lot of suffering. But if we work together, I don't think Lula can get reelected. If we're able to form a coalition that everybody in Brazil is working towards the greater good, Bolsonaro can be back in office, or whoever is available for 2026. We should start already working with the US, with Europe, with Asia, with Japan, with China, with Russia, with North Korea. It is really time for us to stop. The talk about nuclear war with such ease by people in Europe and the US and some people is just preposterous. Now is the time really for the government that Lincoln talked about, and I've walked those hallowed grounds, governed by the people, by the people. You must not and shall never perish from this earth, because it is from God we receive all these rights, but it goes back to our individual rights and collective rights. So the American government, to some of you in the US that don't understand why it's such a marvelous achievement of humanity, is still work to do to a more perfect union, but we're gonna get there together. So stop calling Trump a Nazi. Go study what a Nazi is or was, just to exist. And when you say Israel is conducting genocide, go look at the definition. Go understand what a genocide is. You wanna criticize their civilians dying in Gaza? Okay, you can do that, but that's war. And my preference is let's not have wars, because that's the nature of war. People die. A lot of innocent people die. And you know what we need to look for now? The truth. We need to be able to discern what is the truth. It's not easy. But let's do it together. Let's pray that President Trump and all his cabinet, they understand the power, they understand the responsibility, and that the world is counting on them. And if for whatever reason they disappoint in another 4 years, there's another election. In 2 years, there's another election for Congress. So that's the beauty of democracy. Because just as diapers, politicians need to be changed. God bless you. God bless America, Brazil, Europe, Israel, the entire world. Because we need more God and we need less hate. It's really the point. We need to rethink when we call ourselves Christians. Because there are just two things Jesus said for us to do. Love your enemy, love your neighbor, love yourself. So basically just love. And it's hard. But we'll do it together. Have a good night. And it has started. It's going to be difficult times. But at the end of this period, whatever long it takes, we can have not just a better union in the US, Brazil, in Europe, but a better world for humanity. Let's stop falling into traps, into wars, into narratives about things that don't really happen. There's a lot of people thinking that Monday the world will end because crazy Nazi is in the White House. But he was there before, and he didn't do things that Biden did, censorship, for example. And hopefully Trump will do what he said. He's not gonna go, be vindictive as they were to him, because after all, he felt it. I do hope he worked with Lula, and the same way the CIA, the FBI, and the Department of State forced or convinced some members of the U.S. Government not to question the elections last year, that we should have fair elections, that Bolsonaro should be entitled to his time, because it's not about the court of public opinion, but of voters, and he should be entitled to make his case in 2026. And I'm sure Lula wants to leave a legacy, and I hope he can see this is not the time, and there's still work to do. But I call upon the world to talk to people in Brazil, and we should all to work together. Hopefully, it's going to be a new year, a good year, and if not, we'll make it good. Change. God bless you all.